Are you ready to transform your normal e-commerce business into one that experiences exponential growth year after year using online advertising? If so, this show is for you. Me and my guests will show you how you too can grow your e-commerce business to 7 or even 8 figures so you can go on more luxurious vacations, spoil yourself and your family, say yes to more opportunities, and become financially free so you never have to worry about money again. Welcome to the E-commerce Performance Marketing Show. Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to the E-com Performance Marketing Show. And I have a guest here in person. I have Tanaha Hairston here, and she is a serial entrepreneur and builder of businesses. She's an awesome woman. I've been very blessed to be connected to her, and you're going to learn a lot from her during today's episode. She's a serial entrepreneur and the CEO of TechSpeak, a modern-day media and communications holding company that partners with clients to drive their business outcomes and sells private label e-commerce brands, which is why I brought her on the show. A little bit more about her as well, though, is that beginning with the launch and sale of Blended Pure, a multifaceted online e-commerce company that sells organic subscription beauty products and provides programs that support women around the world through education and empowerment, she was able to, from that success, create a number of successes from that. She'll tell us a bit about that during today's episode. Also, prior to that brand, she also served as the managing director of the Thunderbird Angel Network, which you can tell us about. I don't even know what that is, but it sounds awesome. And she also began as a software engineer and transitioned to sales engineering, developing and selling voice, data, and video network solutions to universities and hospitals throughout the United States. And also on top of that, she provides strategic consulting as a venture capitalist investor and a business developer. She holds a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science, and also she has an MBA from the Thunderbird School of International Management, which I believe is like the top-rated international business school,
yeah.
Right? Which is very impressive. So, yeah, we're very blessed to have her here on the show. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's nice to be here.
Yeah. Well, do you want to tell the audience maybe a bit about just your origin story and how you got started in, business and e-commerce, and what were some of the biggest lessons maybe you could share with the audience? This way, the audience can learn from some of those maybe challenges or missteps or stresses that you felt early on.
Yeah. So, I think the question just, how did I get into e-com? I'd love to talk about that. How many of us have invested in a marketing firm or in marketing, and we just didn't see the results from it? In fact, we wrote a check for a couple $1,000s thinking that it would have these types of results. Well, that was me. I made that investment. So when I decided to start my own e-commerce business, I invested in marketing firms just like that. And I didn't see the results that I wanted. And then, when you're self-financing your own e-com company, especially at the beginning, you don't have unlimited capital and unlimited funds just to continue to write marketing checks, right?
Not at all.
So unless you have a substantial investment in your business, right? Or unless the business has gotten to a point where it can self-sustain itself so that you can continue to invest back in marketing, well, then you're in a tough spot.
Yeah.
And so that was me. So I don't know if that was the case with any of you guys, but that is actually how I got into marketing at the beginning, digital marketing. So when I lost money on agencies and I wasn't going to recoup that lost money, I thought, I've got to learn how to do this myself. So partnered with just a small Facebook ads person, and then he and I together, we actually, for that very first business, it actually started off as derivations. So that's a good story. Can I share that?
I want to hear this. This sounds awesome.
So my first e-com business was called Derivations, and it was, I came up with this great name. It was based on the Fibonacci sequence. I'm a computer science person. Okay, so terrible idea, because none of the customers could not pronounce that name. It was so difficult for customers to know and to understand. Lesson learned, when you launch a brand, right? Now I know that there are certain things that you look for whenever you're going to pick a name for your brand. And one of those things is shorter characters and that it's easy to understand. That was a terrible idea to launch a brand with a difficult name, right? So ultimately we rebranded. But that was lesson number one. Start with an easier name for your customers to remember and understand so that it's short and it's memorable and that they can connect with you easier. So that was the first mistake I made with the very first e-com brand. The second thing is I started in the Nutra business, right? The beauty business. I thought, okay, this is going to be a little bit easier for me. Wasn't even passionate about it. Should not have done it, but I thought this is going to be easy. Mistake number 2. Because when you launch an e-commerce brand, right, it's so much easier if you are actually solving a problem that needs to be solved, or you're going to start with some niche product, or you're going to start with a product that already has some kind of demonstrated demand. If you're going to start in like the massive like beauty space, unless you have like connections, which fast forward, here we are all these years later, I finally have those. But at the beginning, that's also a terrible idea, because if you're going to launch a brand that is in this wide, like massive ocean, you're going to get lost. And again, unless you have substantial marketing dollars to be able to differentiate yourself, right? Because it's a multi-pronged marketing approach to launch something like that, right?
Yeah.
It's not just like Facebook ads and before and after pictures. It's not that, right? It's a collaboration of social points. It's a collaboration of poignant PR and strategic PR. And it's a combination of like Facebook ads and funnels. And so ultimately, how we made the brand work, I'm gonna fast forward for you guys, is I had to become the brand, and customers had to invest in me. That's how we made that brand work. But I lost a lot of money at the beginning. But that's how we made it work. I had to become the brand, right? Because I didn't have thousands of dollars to keep investing in a marketing brand. So I made the brand work. We built Facebook ads, funnels, lifted those, lifted up everything, and then just started coding. We did split testing, A/B testing. We tested all different kinds of ads, right, to see what would work. And we figured out which ad sequence worked. And then once they got to our lander, right, then we would watch their cursor all throughout that. So at the beginning, I had to do it. I mean, I literally had to pull up my bootstraps, and I had to get down and dirty. So that is how I learned. There was no other way. And it was because, I don't know how you all are, but I think most entrepreneurs, we're just, sometimes we can be a little stubborn, and we're like, gosh darn it, I'm making this thing work. I don't care how, I'm making it work.
You have to have that. You have to have that stubborn drive. You have to be okay with getting your hands dirty with stuff maybe you don't like to do or aren't that good at doing, but you want to get better, and you have that belief in yourself to get better so you can do a good job of what needs to be done in your business to be able to take it further. That's awesome. So you said you wasted a lot of resources though, right? Early on in the business. So I'd love to hear more about how did you make that transition where you became a personal brand, and can you maybe be a little more specific with what you did exactly on the branding side to become the personal brand, to be able to differentiate your brand and your products from some of the competitors you had in your market?
Well, that's a good question. And let me just start. First of all, I didn't want to become the brand. I'm actually, at that time, I was way more comfortable behind computers, right? Even though today I still spend a lot of my time behind 2 good computers. I was comfortable there, right? I kind of shared that I started out, as a software engineer with a computer science degree. So that was never
Which, by the way, that's very intriguing about you.
That was never my goal, to be the brand, right? To put myself out there and tell everybody my business, right? It was really difficult. But one thing I want to say, and I'll get to your question, is I think that, and sometimes I think as entrepreneurs, you don't really understand how important this is, but business always intersects with our personal life. If we wanted to or not, it just does, right? So at the beginning, how I even started a business, right, is because I needed something that would have a flexible schedule that would allow me, frankly, if I can speak personally, as a newly divorced mom, that I would be able to kind of pick my children up from school. So that's how I started, right? I didn't necessarily think that, I'm going to start, this particular business, but it was out of necessity. So again, I think as entrepreneurs, we should never forget that we have to always keep in mind our personal goals and how those intersect with our business goals. So that's how I started a business, because I needed the flexibility. Go ahead. What are you going to
I just love what you just said, and my backstory a bit. I think I started my business because my son was 3, and I was a single dad, and I wanted to create a schedule around him, picking him up from preschool.
Right.
And getting used to these Invisalign braces here, but I had to pick him up from school, so I created a business and a lifestyle around my son back in 2013. And I'm sure you felt this too at times since you started your business, that things do get a little out of control sometimes, and they're not, and they do kind of impact your family life and the personal goals you had with your kids, with my kid, from time to time. But you figure it out, right? You get past it, you learn from it, and you adapt.
Right. Oh, okay. So here's a great story. So when I started that brand, the one that I was just telling you about, I didn't have a customer service person, right? I graduated to customer service person, and now I have an agency that handles customer service, right?
Yep.
But back then, when I was just starting, I didn't have all these relationships with customer service agencies like I do now.
Yep.
So then I would be literally, customer would call and they want to cancel their subscription, because that's how we made that work. I just love monthly recurring businesses. That's how we made that work. And I learned that the hard way, frankly, right? Cost of acquisition, everything has to backtrack, right, with your spreadsheets. But customer wanted to cancel their subscription, and I would have to say, okay, I'd be picking them up from school, and we'd be running around and dropping them off at their stuff, and I'd have to say, shh, everybody quiet, customer on the line. And then they literally would just freeze. Well, I took a customer's call. Okay, can I have your name? And then I would literally
frozen.
They would literally freeze. And at the time, it was just using Shopify. This year they're just using Shopify.
Okay.
And I would go right there real time and cancel their subscription on Shopify.
Nice.
So to answer your question, yes, things did get hairy at the beginning. Now I've got agencies and relationships and stuff. Right. But back then, it was interesting to say the least, right? Because I was really out of my home. I was doing a lot of the shipping myself. Now I have fulfillment centers and partnerships there. But back then, I started off and I was literally filling product, right? I made if I can share another mistake. So we're gonna start this brand, and I've got this wonderful idea for a brand, right? That's how it starts, right? Not even knowing what the market wanted. I had this wonderful idea. So hired a chemist, and we made these formulations. Terrible idea, I think, number 2, unless you have unlimited capital, unless you have funding, right? The right thing to do would be what I did sometime later, which was kind of white label something, build my brand, prove that it worked. And then if I wanted to go back and create something amazingly custom and invest in custom formulations, then that would have been the way to go.
Yeah.
But
that's a big lesson right there, actually. That's a huge lesson.
That's mistake number 2.
Yeah.
So, that I made. But with that being said, we made it work over time. I was able to get those relationships, right? Because I recognize that custom formulations translate to custom payment for chemists, translate to custom formulations, for my cosmetic manufacturer, right? Instead of white label formulations that they already have ready to go, that you can either buy in bulk quantity, or if you're moving a ton, you can drop ship, right? I didn't know any of that back then. So that was mistake number 2 for me. That, I would certainly share that with anyone.
Well, the thing is that what's great about your, some of these stories and these challenges you're sharing with the audience is that when you hit these challenges, you figured it out.
Yes, you do.
But you have to, obviously.
Yeah.
But you figured it out too when it came to hiring personnel or creating a company with personnel, right? Also creating systems, creating processes. This way you didn't have to be the person on the phone with a customer with 3 kids in the car while you're canceling the subscription, right? Right? And I think that's an important lesson for the audience, because they also need to know that when they're in business. Hey, how's it going, guys? Josh Marsden here. So you just got to this point in today's episode because unfortunately something happened during the recording of the episode. Not sure what happened, not sure how it happened, but for some reason my camera cut off at this point in the episode. So unfortunately you're missing about 5 minutes of content in today's episode. So I just wanted to shoot this video and just apologize to you because I know that you were probably itching to find out what Tanaha was saying right before I got cut off and you came to me here. But I can promise you, though, that the bulk of the episode's value you've already seen. You were just about to arrive at the end of the episode, and I definitely will make it up to you in future episodes with the quality of the content and also the guests that I'm also going to be bringing on as well. So I just wanted to tell you that I apologize that you weren't able to see the end of the episode here. But definitely reach out to Tanaha Hairston. She's an incredible entrepreneur. Her contact details are below this episode, so be sure to shoot her an email if you want to connect with her and see if you can follow her as well. And she's got a number of different ways she can help you as an e-commerce business when it comes to payment processing, when it comes to sourcing, when it comes to helping you with you on the operations side, with consulting. She's incredible. So definitely be sure to follow her. And again, I apologize that this episode had this technical error, and I definitely will make sure it doesn't happen again. Thank you for tuning into the e-commerce performance marketing show. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, like, and comment with a timestamp of your favorite part and share it with a friend. Until our next episode, here's to you and the success of your e-commerce business.